Well, you guys, thank you so much for coming. My name is LaRon Barton. I'm a writer, speaker, network engineer. I published two books, Straight Dope, or 360-degree look into American drug culture, and my latest book, All We Really Need Is Love, stories of dating, relationships, heartbreak, and marriage. So it's funny, I went from talking about crack addiction to talking to people who have been divorced. So, it's the subject matter is just kind of all over the place. I've published essays in places such as Black Enterprise, Salon, The Good Men Project, as well as Ravishly. Sorry about that. The Elephant Journal. I've been quoted in Newsweek, and I've recently given a TEDx on how I overcame the fear of stuttering. At this moment, right now, one of the things that I'm really proud of is I am starting a writing program at the San Francisco County Jail. So twice a month, what I'm doing is I'm going in and I'm teaching about a 2-hour class, teaching creative writing. So, I mean, this is something that I'm incredibly passionate and really proud of myself about because I'm really passionate about recidivism, and writing saved my life. And so I hope to impart wisdom and just help young men sort of express themselves the same way that I had someone help me with that. So it's just all about paying it forward. Um, the subject that I'm going to talk about today is how culture fit is used as an excuse to discriminate. Being in the IT industry for over 20 years, almost 20 years, I'm sorry. I've worked in Fortune 500 companies, hospitals, telecom providers, banking institutions. I've worked in nonprofits as well as startup environments. And the most overreaching theme that I've seen is that these environments are very white. When I came to San Francisco back in 2013, when I moved to the Bay Area, I was just really taken aback by all of the tech companies. I mean, you had Yahoo, Google, Facebook, Twitter, eBay, and I was just like, wow, this is where things really happen. I mean, these are the decision makers. I mean, coming to Silicon Valley, there's sort of a gravitas. I mean, this is where this is ground zero. And so when I would go on the interviews, the one word that I would hear constantly is culture. The presidents, the engineers, the supervisors, the secretaries, they would all stress, we're looking for someone to fit into our culture. We have a specific culture. We need someone who will adapt to my culture. And I didn't understand quite what they meant. Then as I took a tour of the facility, took a tour of their other offices, as well as, talk to people who had worked there, I said to myself, okay, I get it. I understand what they're saying. One of the words that I learned while being here in the past 6 years is something called social capital. My friend Karen Fleshman told me it. Now, what I took social capital to mean is that it's the connections, the people you know. It's sort of a hyper stylized version of networking. Jobs are filled and are gained through social capital. And I mean, that's not a big deal. 75% of all jobs are gotten by people you know. Through social capital, you work with people you know, you work with people that you went to school with, and you work with people that look like you. And that may sound great, but what that does is that creates a culture that is exclusive rather than inclusive. And it pretty much tells you that, Kim, that if you're not like us, you're not going to work with us. When I started to look for jobs in the Bay Area, I would talk to various Black people, various brown people, and women of all races, what it was like to work in Silicon Valley. And just like the horror stories, they would tell me, they would say, oh, women would get sexually harassed on a regular basis. There would be race jokes. If a Black person would walk down the hall, people would clutch their purse. if there was any type of diversity workshop or panel, some people would say, oh, this is reverse racism. And there was even times where this person told me that as he was pulling into the parking lot, going to his office, the security guard would stop him and ask him, hey, what are you doing here? I remember I was working at this bank. I'm not gonna say their name, but I'm going in there to work on this problem. We were deploying a new phone system, and the woman, she looked at my badge. She didn't believe that it was real, so she had to go into Microsoft Outlook, look up my name, and she was like, okay, how do you spell your name? Kidding, but but I mean, it's like she had to pretty much validate who I was. So I just thought like that was just pretty ill. So listening to all these stories and just reading things such as the Google memo, I believe that was written by a guy by the name of James Damore, which pretty much said that women were not as driven and women were not as good in math as men, which that's a load of crap. I mean, if you grown up in a two-parent household, if you are married, you know that women almost always take care of the finances. So it's like the wife, she's always bouncing the checkbook. The guy, he's just gonna give her his check. Hey, here, there you go. So what I wanted to do after hearing these stories and after reading that memo, I wanted to research how diverse is Silicon Valley. And what I found was that Facebook has about 3% of their employees are black. Google is around 2%. And Twitter, which is about 4,000 employees, has about 80 black people working there. I mean, I've seen like college philosophy classes with more people in them, right? I mean, that's crazy. 80 people. I mean, like that's not even like 2 football teams. So what I did was from then I said no, I'm not going to work for the big tech companies. I just decided to just bow out of that. But what if there was a young black kid that graduated from college and he wanted to work at Facebook? What if a woman wanted to pursue a career at Google? How can we make these work environments more welcoming, more inclusive? How can we create a work culture that says, come on in, and that we accept everybody? That's the question, right? So what I found is that first off, we need to recruit outside of Berkeley, Stanford, and MIT. Those schools are great. Like, I wish I would have went to Stanford. I just can't afford it. but I mean, those are really good schools, right? But there are also really good schools in such as University of Illinois, the University of Northern Alabama, and the University of Missouri Kansas City, which is where I'm from. There's also HBCUs, which are historically black colleges and university. I hear that black people we can code, so we don't have to. Yeah, it's just like we don't have to constantly look at Ivy League schools. What about the trade schools? What about tech schools? I went to Coleman College, which is not a four-year school. It's a tech school, and I'm a really good network engineer. I'm as good as anyone else. Also, as a man, we need to make environments comfortable and welcoming for women. In my almost 20 years of working in IT, I've never been in an environment that made women feel like they are equal. I mean, tech is hard on women. I've said, like, one of the things that I like to do is that when I'm in a meeting, I will actively ask one of my female colleagues, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts? Because I want my female colleagues to know that, hey, I value you. I want to hear what you have to say. I think men, we need to start calling out the pervasive language. We need to stop the really bad jokes because, I mean, it's just not funny, right? And honestly, like men, we need to stop asking women out on dates that work at the job. I mean, it's 2019. That's what we have Tinder for, right? You know what I mean? Like it's no, seriously, it's like hashtag leave her alone. So I'm really big on that. And finally, what I think we need to do is that we need to not be afraid to work with people who are not like us. The best work environments that I've ever been in have been with people who are from all walks of life. Through working with different people and working with people from different cultures comes different options, comes different opinions, becomes different solutions, becomes different ways of just sort of looking at a problem and approaching the problem differently. I mean, just imagine if you're working with somebody who is from New York, Los Angeles, Hawaii, Kansas, Boston, New Orleans, Memphis. I mean, besides a really good potluck, you can have, you can have just this awesome work environment. I mean, it's a thing where whenever the work environment becomes really linear, it becomes really stale, and we don't advance, and we don't create anything that is considered groundbreaking, I believe. Finally, the best boss that I ever had is a guy by the name of Bill Ball. Bill and I, we really didn't have anything in common. I mean, we didn't watch the same sports. I think that Bill was a Jayhawk. So I mean, but I mean, hey, it's it's fine. It's all good. But I mean, we didn't go to the same places. We didn't listen to the same music. The only thing we really had in common besides tech was that we both like barbecue, and I mean that's just a Kansas City thing. I mean we have the best barbecue in the entire world. I mean just I mean it's in the water. But besides our differences, Bill saw something in me and he hired me as a network telecom engineer, and that more than any position really impacted my career, and to that I thank Bill. By doing that, he took somebody that was from a totally different part of the world, just totally different part of life, and put him in a position. And I believe that myself, along with others, created a much better, much more comfortable, and much more open work environment. Because when you have different people, different kind of people working there, it kind of makes things a little bit more relaxed. It makes things a little bit more approachable, right? So I sit here to say that we need to break out of this culture fit. The job doesn't have to be filled with your friends. It doesn't have to be filled with people of your same skin tone. It doesn't have to be filled with people who like Drake, or who like silly movies. I mean, let's truly make a concentrated effort to find the right people instead of just somebody in your backyard. So, and that's all I'd say. Thank you.